Minister will always put his wealthy friends first. He will always put nations before Canada. His loyalty does not lie with Canada or with Canadians. He has told us in his own words exactly who he is.
Speaking as a European.
And when somebody tells you who they are, you should believe them.
Canadian companies Brookfield and Chemical. Today, this plant supplies fuel.
Welcome back to another episode of Stand on Guard. I'm your host, David Krayden. Nice to be back. What a weekend we had, and in a few moments we're going to be talking about that with Katie Pasitney, who of course was the reason, the inspiration for these rallies, these marches, 26 cities across Canada. When we come back, Katie will join us, and we've got so much to talk about this morning. And by the way, that MP at the very beginning, that was Stephanie Kuzy. She's a Conservative MP, and I think she described Mark Carney in very accurate terms. So we'll be right back in mere moments.
The Prime Minister lied, and his minions continue to lie.
Your home is your castle. We're calling on the government to introduce and immediately pass the Stand on Guard law.
But we also need to resolve to resist.
Okay. We'll do it live. Okay. No. We'll do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Thanks for joining us today. I'm David Krayden. This is another episode of Stand on Guard. And without further ado, I want to welcome back to the show Katie Pasitney, who has been, did I say Pasitney again? Pasitney, excuse me, Katie. I mispronounced your name the first time you were on the show, and I'm still struggling to get that.
You're fine. Pasitney.
Yeah. Pasitney, yeah. Somebody so I got an email from somebody today saying, if you can't pronounce her name, I don't know why she has the time of day for you. I wonder that sometimes too. But anyway, thanks for joining me today, Katie. It's been a hell of a weekend. And
hell of a weekend.
I just wanted,
I'm so full of hope because out of the biggest tragedy, what we're seeing is that people are turning the grief into action. And I think it is just the most beautiful, heartwarming thing to see, because if we don't stand united, we don't have a chance. So,
well, 26 cities across Canada, literally from coast to coast, Victoria, BC. And I was so happy to see a rally in my hometown of Comox, Courtenay, where I grew up. And that was, I couldn't believe it. It's just so fantastic. And all the way out east to Moncton, New Brunswick. So coast to coast. And you had numerous rallies in Toronto. Rebel News covered those quite effectively. I covered the one in Ottawa here, where we had a lot of enthusiasm. It was really, really quite incredible. So what I took away from this, Katie, was that people were saying we're outraged over what the CFI did at the farm. We're furious, we're angry, but we're inspired at the same time by your courage and determination, the fact you're fighting back. And we'll get into details about that in a minute. But they're inspired by the fact that you haven't just let them defeat you. You're fighting back, and you're proclaiming ultimate victory in this. So people were not just angry. They were positive, and they were saying some wonderful things about the future. And I think that's very important.
it is important. What we're seeing across the country right now is farmers are living in fear. And if we are afraid of regulations and we're afraid of the policies that are supposed to be guiding our future, and we're afraid of that these policies are supposed to punish us instead of protect us, this is no way to live. And the agricultural sector in Canada is such a beautiful sector. It is our backbone to our country. And to think of that we would even be so close to risk losing that due to an agency that has way too much power and no regulations, no oversight, no accountability. I know that those words are used a lot, but it's the truth, and that is what we're fighting, is what do we have? It is no way to live is in fear as a Canadian that this agency is going to knock at your door. I just got a call from a lady yesterday. This gives me hope as well. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency is highly reactive. It is not proactive. And this has to change. But what's happening is farmers are being proactive. And farmers have started to listen over the 11 months. They witnessed that horrific tragedy that we have all felt the impact with it, which is the almost 1,000 bullets that rang out on November 6th and the morning of November 7th, killing all of our animals in panic and fear. They have listened to the policy. They've listened to how this has happened on our farm, us educating them about the failure and the broken systemic failure within the agency of Canadian Food Inspection Agency. And this lady, they phoned her and said that they have to test some of her chickens because there was a positive test of avian influenza. And as per their policy, they have to test everything within a 10-kilometer radius. And she said, no, you don't. You didn't test the ostriches. And they were like, yes, we did. And they went back and forth a little bit. But she said, no, you didn't. You didn't test one of those ostriches that you guys gunned down in the middle of the night. And then that went on to, she said, did you test every animal in a 10-kilometer radius of the ostrich farm? No, you didn't. And so people are starting to just stand up to this agency because they are not allowed. We have to hold them accountable, that they cannot just move the goalpost, make their own laws. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and that we are demanding change because no farmer and no Canadian should live in fear of this agency.
And of course, so many farmers are living in fear of this agency. And
yeah,
so I think any pushback is going to be extremely positive. And so I was fascinated by how I heard a lot of people tell me on Saturday that the CFI doesn't realize the situation they're really in right now. They don't realize the undercurrents of opposition that exist, not just in the hinterland, not just in farms across the country, but they really got a lot of people mad, even within the establishment. It's like they embarrass the establishment. And that sometimes, having lived far too long in Ottawa and being part of this national press corps, I can tell you that sometimes that's the only thing that will stop an out of control government agency, is just embarrassing the hell out of it. And so it no longer has credibility.
Yeah.
And I spoke to one individual on Saturday who said that there were meetings going on yesterday and Sunday with some key players, not just within the government, but the official opposition. And that the CFIA is under a microscope right now, under intense scrutiny, because of their arrogance and the fact that they won't provide answers. I have asked them 3 times now, and I think I sent you at least one or two of the questions that I sent them via email about where did you supposedly deep bury these ostriches? Can you tell us a location? I don't need the exact coordinates. Can you give me a name? And of course, they keep sending me their last backgrounder and the last news release. This is the kind of seething arrogance you get from this organization. Yeah. They think they can get away with this. And I think their days are numbered if they think they can get away with this. But like a lot of government bureaucracies, they're not just out of control, they're deluded. They really do think that this is normal behavior. We don't have to give you answers. Yes, we're publicly funded. We're a taxpayer subsidized, taxpayer totally paid for by the taxpayer, but we don't have to be accountable to taxpayers. Yeah, we talk about on our website about making food safe, making farmers safe, and about the health of Canadians, but we don't have to be accountable to Canadians or farmers or anybody else. We just keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, I heard some very interesting conversations. Well, largely with me. I wasn't listening in. I heard some very interesting anecdotes and promises and information on Saturday from people who really do know what they're talking about. So I don't think there's a better time for you to be getting into this as a voice for farmers, which of course the association you're in the middle of building, of starting,
Yeah.
because this is the optimum time to be a voice for farmers, because farmers don't really have a voice. And I'll let you elaborate on that right now.
Yeah, I just think, you know what, that farmers do have a voice. So many of them do, but they just needed to be reminded that they do. That they are the strength. They are the backbone to our country, to our nutritional food supply. Their hardworking, dedicated nature of loving their animals. It doesn't matter if they're meant for food or if they've been put into research for innovation, new ways that could have helped humanity with therapeutics, natural science. It doesn't matter. Farmers love their animals. It doesn't, and that is, I guess, we just needed to be reminded that there are animals. It's our land. And when you have an agency that is supposed to be there to call and support you along the way, and if there's a problem, they're supposed to guide you. What we've seen here is their theatrical display of their egotistical nature, that they can just come and they're a professional killing machine. They are not proactive, preventative. They are not there to heal or treat or preserve. They are there to kill. And that is what they do. They want their reactive nature is to kill everything. And what they're doing is they're putting humanity at risk. And more people are starting to wake up to that reality, is that if we lose our strong, healthy animals with generational perfected lineage for strong bone structure and strong genetics, if we just wipe everything out and we continuously have to start from ground zero at every farm, we will have no natural immunity. We will have no prior strong, robust, passed down antibodies from the mums to the babies. We will suffer as mankind, and it will be a collapse of our ecosystem. So it is very much worth preserving, very much worth using your voice for. This is about your children. This is about your grandchildren. And this is about standing up to protect everything that you've ever worked for. And that is the goal of the association. Mike Rood, who's been a really instrumental piece of this battle, a veteran who has been on site, and you've seen a lot of his images. He was the one taking pictures up the mountains, helping us get counts of our birds, because the number of our ostriches were going down slowly during that interim stay order, and we were witnessing that as a world. Mike Rood wants to be part of the association as well. And he even said, wouldn't it be beautiful if we could get the veterans involved, like a Veterans and Farmers Alliance. So there's so many different angles, but that association has been brought to my attention that there's many associations out there. But this one, we want to make it an association that takes action. And what that will be, it'll be a place for farmers to all come together and talk about the problems that are up and coming or today. And how do we solve those problems? How do we support each other? And how do we help finance that support? So nobody is left alone. Because I think that's the biggest fear as well, is if the Canadian government starts to see the farmers rise up and band together, not just by industry, but as a whole, or, not by just the cattle farmers and the cattle association, ostrich association, but make this a united farmers association where we come and we create change that's going to support us, the legacies that you have all developed within your own families, generational farmers, and the future of Canada. So I'm really excited to be putting my pain and our family's pain into action. That's going to be very important. And you're seeing that that's what is happening with Canadians right now, is they're using this pain and they want to take action. So this is going to be a beautiful, monumental step. Just over, what is it now? Just over, I guess, almost close to 3 weeks ago, All those bullets rang out in the middle of the night, and it caused a lot of PTSD for a lot of people around the world. And they didn't think that anybody was going to watch. They didn't think that anybody was going to speak. And they, I think, thought that everybody was going to be too broken to fight. But what they did is they miscalculated our Canadian strength and the strength in our farmers. And I have full hope that this will create the change that is necessary to get rid of this stamping out, because stamping out isn't working. If it was, we wouldn't have more and more uptick in viruses and, say, tuberculosis threats and Newcastle's and H5N1, which has been around for decades. This is not new. And we need to reevaluate how we are treating our farms, how we are coming forward with outbreak response, having oversight, having accountability. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency, with so much power, should have body cameras when they are entrusted in murdering so many animals. They should have to be held accountable and follow their own mandate and their policy and their protocols. And we need a complete redo of the Canadian Food Inspection Agency, one where Canadians can trust. I think that's going to be the most important, because that eroded trust is putting humanity and Canadians more at risk than ever, because you're going to get farmers who might have an actual threat on their farm of a virus we've never seen before. And farmers don't want to call the association out of fear. So we're actually more at risk now than ever due to the association's actions, or the agency's actions, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency's actions.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah. So it's going to be there'll be some powerful momentum going forward, but I have hope that it's going to create really, really powerful change.
Well, I think that's an excellent point. People are going to be more scared than ever about reporting cases, because do you want to happen here what happened at Katie's farm? Are you inviting that? Yeah, that's an excellent point. I don't think a lot of people have even thought about that. In terms of association, I think what you just raised is an excellent idea. We really haven't discussed this. I've been quite public about the fact that I'm working with you on this as closely as possible. I also think I think what you should do is establish a board of fellows, as good associations do, but don't just stack it with academics like every other organization does, people who are in ivory towers, but people who understand the practical application of agriculture, and veterans as well. But definitely get some academics like Jeff Wilson, Dr. Jeff Wilson, who is definitely on your side. I saw him again Saturday. He was on my show last week to talk about this. But there's a lot of academics who, of course, are on your side. I had a number of them on this program throughout this whole crisis. So it's exciting how you can build this organization. I used to joke about the ag racket when I worked on Parliament Hill, because there are literally 5 or 6 different national agricultural groups that are supposedly working for farmers, but they do a better job working for themselves. And I'm not putting words in anybody's mouth. I'm saying that today from my experience. They're very good at raising money and having huge salaries. And farmers in the process get lost and mislaid and ignored. So I think what you're doing is incredible, because it's probably the first time in a long time that an agricultural association has actually been built that's going to help farmers instead of helping each other. Yeah. And that's been the case so many times.
Well, we had nowhere to go. I mean, when this happened to us, and it was our first experience hearing about Canadian Food Inspection Agency. And I mean, you could imagine how shocked we were when we said, why is Canadian Food Inspection Agency at our house? Or why are they calling? Because A, we're not for food. B, we're not poultry. So we were very concerned about that as well. But again, it was through the 11 months, it's been brought to our light that he who controls the food controls the people. And that's the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. They ultimately have that power right now. And that's their foundation of power. And that is very alarming. So bringing that awareness and educating people about who the Canadian Food Inspection Agency is, what are their powers and how do they get ultimately away with not following any of their own code of conduct, their policies, or they don't have to follow their own rules. And so the government, we have to be reminded too, the government is nothing without the people. And that's you and that's me. And that is all the farmers out there. So I think we just have to remind the government, remind each other that the government has no strength without its labor. It has no authority without our consent. It has no, it doesn't have that backbone if it doesn't have us fighting for our country. So it's going to be a big step forward, but we do have intake forms as well that we are taking on. There's a link on my Facebook page, Katie Pasitney. There is one, I believe, going up on saveourostriches.com, which will be turning into justiceforourostriches.com. And there is an intake form on there. Just how did that November 6th and 7th ordeal affect you? Because we have to speak up. We have to let the government know what happened that night and the long-lasting effects of the theatrical display of punishment that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency brought to our farm that cost our taxpayer dollars millions of dollars. There's even speculation. There's been some sort of chatter online that they're going to send us a bill for that. I don't know how much worse it can get after already fighting. They want to criminally charge my mom and I. They've left our farm a complete mess. They broke open all of those huge bales that were used for that massacre. They exploded them all over our hayfield. And now we have hundreds and hundreds of mallard ducks nesting in that hay that they left because it's so diseased or virus and full of virus and disease. So again, we just have to be reminded that this cannot happen again. We need to stand together. This is an agency that is just way too powerful. It has way too big of an ego, and they do their own internal investigations, you guys. Like they perform their own audits. They failed their audits, 2018, 2021, horribly. And they're the only ones who have to make their own changes. Nobody oversees the failure of their wrongdoings. So their complaint center was shut down. How can you be an agency that has wields so much power, and then you shut down your complaint center? It's scary. And this is the time we got to rise up and use our voices. But now more than ever, the world is watching. And right now, Canada has the support of the world. The world doesn't want to ever see this happen again. And they're all paying attention to how could this affect them as well. So this is the perfect time. And through some of the deepest pain, I have to believe that God wrote the story. I was saying always, God knew the ending already. We just have to have faith. And even though it worked out in a way that none of us could have ever imagined, God does have a plan. He has a plan. And I believe that every day. My mom and I have to rely heavily on faith right now.
Well, I'm sure you do. You anticipated a question I had for you about the ground zero. I don't know what else to call it because it looks like a nuclear bomb exploded in your backyard. That's the only way I can describe. Having seen actual battlefields, real battlefields, not 100 years later, but having been in Bosnia and seeing what war looks like, your backyard looks like there was a war there. And of course, you've got a huge mess. You're still under quarantine, and which I find incredible. They're still playing this game, even though the cops were walking around without gloves, were literally putting their hands in the hay, using pitchforks with bare hands, no PPE, nothing at all. And they were joking about bystanders saying, "Hey, maybe you guys should have a hazmat suit." And of course, it's just the height of cynicism.
Let us back on our land.
We're keeping this up. And do you anticipate knowing at least when they're going to take the farm off quarantine? No.
No idea. We have submitted our request. We want that land back. We want it released from quarantine. It has been made very clear to the world, stop lying. It was not about virus. This was a theatrical display of punishment. You do not do what you did, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, on our property and call it a viral threat. The world watched what you just said, David. No PPE. There's wearing PPE with a person from the outside wearing no PPE right beside them in the pens. We have all of this videoed. We have all of the footage. We have them camped right over the hottest zone with their motorhomes. We had Super Save driving in and out of there, not disinfecting their vehicles once. Hundreds of people witnessed it, chaining up their tires, because it was so muddy in their fields that they tore up. So touching their tires with their hands, no PPE, getting back in their trucks, hauling away our supposedly most virused ostriches. Do you think that there was proper certification under the Super Save company that they are certified to haul biohazardous waste? No. So give up the theatrical display of punishment already. You got it. You did it. You punished us. You killed everything we loved. Give us back our land. Let us heal. Let us heal. You want to do one right thing, Canadian Food Inspection Agency. Give us back our land. Let us heal. Let us heal.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's never been part of their objective. It's been punishment and never healing. But what could you possibly do with all of that refuse, all of that hay? I mean, conceivably, all I can think of is burning it, because no landfill is going to accept it. You certainly can't sell it. They took so much hay from the local community. I remember at the time local farmers were complaining they couldn't get hay themselves. They took so much hay, and they totally used it for nefarious purposes. And now, of course, it's been deemed toxic. So what could you possibly do with it except burn it? I don't know what they expect you to do with it now.
I don't know. I have no idea. And it is still painful to get to the end of the laneway and see those empty pens. We have a Starlink over there, and we have a power box, big power bank. We have an RV that we would like to pull out, because we do have supporters that are still at the farm, and they're helping winterize, and they're helping us just pick up the pieces of our shattered life. And so there's things we would like out of our property, and they are putting up a resistance the whole way. It's unfair. It is super disappointing, but I mean, it's been disappointing for 11 months, but Canadian Food Inspection Agency, or the government of Canada, it's time to do the right thing. Give us back our land. True leaders step up, because right across where those ostriches all got shot, the Canadian government should be calling on an investigation of what happened the night of November 6th. What happened to the supporters that were blocked off the road, locked onto the highway, yards away from 1,000 bullets almost that got shot off that night? What happened with no secure perimeter check? What happened with, I hear they're M1 weapons being allowed to be brought onto an innocent family's farm, and their animals be shot to death at night, which is also a problem. The Canadian government, we need a true leader, somebody to rise up and call on a full internal investigation on Canadian Food Inspection Agency's actions November 6th, 7th. And we need to get justice. And we have to start repairing that eroded trust between the Canadian people and our government, and see that there's going to be something come out of this positive, because it shouldn't be us trying to look at it as a crime scene. The Canadian government should look at what our farm has just went through as a crime scene, and we should be doing an investigation on that.
It struck me as very ironic and almost bizarre that the CFIA or the RCMP or whomever the marksmen were, and we're dying to find out exactly who these individuals were, they were using what Justin Trudeau described as military-style assault weapons to kill the ostriches. And of course, at the same time that they are using these military-style assault weapons, which I was certified to use in the military, and it wasn't that particular weapon, but it was an assault rifle that predated it. They were allowed to use these, but farmers have been totally taken. They've had their arms taken away. They've had their guns taken away, even if they're basically pea shooters. And this is how this government thinks. So farmers couldn't defend themselves, even if they wanted to. They've been left with destitute in terms of any sort of rifles or arms on the farm. I found this absolutely incredible, but they never even saw the irony of this at all. They just didn't get this at all. And I thought it was incredible, but I just wanted to share one episode with you from the rally here in Ottawa on Saturday. And this really affected me because I've heard so many people in Ottawa talk about what happened to you, and I've heard the same stupidity. And it's always like, well, they were going to be used for food. What's the difference? They just killed them early. I heard this on the weekend. I couldn't stand it anymore. And I went up to the individual and I pointed my finger in his face and I said, you know nothing about this story. You know absolutely nothing. It's obvious you just watched CBC, CTV, and the other mainstream media. And he said, well, what do you know about it? I said, 7 months of reporting. That's what I know about it. And fact-checking the CBC and CTV on this story on several occasions, knowing the spokeswoman for this farm very well, knowing exactly what happened on November 5th and 6th, staying up all night listening to what happened, watching what happened. That's what I know about it. And I said, you know nothing, because all you listen to is media that confirms what you already believed. And that's exactly what happened during the Freedom Convoy. There were these bureaucrats, largely a lot, and most of them who showed up at the courtroom when Tamara Leach and Chris Barber were in trial. They were very wealthy, white liberals who hated these truckers being in town and just couldn't stand this riffraff infecting and polluting their pristine environment. And it's the same phenomena with what happened at your farm, Katie. It's like people don't understand farming. They don't understand agriculture. They really think the grocery store somehow magically gets all this food in. It hasn't that be grown. It's magic. And what do farmers want after, and I just, I came close to really losing it until somebody said, David, calm down. And then he says to me afterwards, he says, you know what? You should have a guy like that on your show. And I said, why? And he said, because we're all living in silos right now. And he said, he has no idea what the truth is, what the reality is. And we have no idea that there are people really that misinformed out there who haven't got a clue in hell.
Yeah, there is. I mean, for anybody to think that the ostriches should have died with almost 1,000 bullets and by these professional marksmen, you need to go educate yourself, because those ostriches died in panic and fear and torment, and they were tripping over one another. And the minute that first gunshot would have went off, they would have been running for their life in a hay bale square, hitting the sides. There would have been no way, at the speed and how afraid those animals were, to get a professional mark on those animals. So our ostriches would have been littered full of bullets because their bodies were so big that that's not how you kill them. You would have to shoot at the head. And you know how small their heads are. And we taught them to trust humans. And humans were the very people that took their lives. So just remember, it doesn't matter farmers are raising cattle or pigs, if you're a good farmer, you love your animals. You love your animals and you do care about them. And you're lucky that if you are a meat eater and you do eat meat, that is the meat that you're getting. It was loved meat. It was loved animal. It was cared for properly, humanely, everything that Canadian Food Inspection Agency can't do. Farmers do. We are humane. We love our animals. And on our farm, particularly, they were being used for antibody resilience and research out of their ostrich eggs. So in the past 5 years, we ended up being in a position that was the best position any farmer could ever want, and that's keep all of your animals. And we thought that we were on the trajectory to actually mitigating the risk of avian influenza, mitigating viral threats for the future, and all with sustainable, natural IgYs out of an ostrich egg, the antibodies, and have a different option compared to vaccinations and the dirty cocktails that they keep pumping out there. And we're seeing so much vaccine illness and vaccine death. And this was a beautiful solution to that. And they took that opportunity. So we do know that this has a layer of big pharma all over it as well. So,
Oh yeah. And the CFIA spun a lot of rubbish throughout this whole occupation. That there was no legitimate research going on here at Universal Ostrich Farms. There was nothing of importance going on here. Don't look too closely. Do you think they stole it? Do you think the CFI stole it, the research?
In my opinion, yeah. In my opinion, you watch. Everybody better red flag if you start to see strong antibody therapeutics, or that they're using. There's new innovative technology that all of a sudden comes out, which we already know is happening, and they don't want to agree. They don't want to admit it. But LaFont Medical got almost $1 million and to create the diagnostic test kits for farmers for their animals using antibodies. And so they had all the offer and our opportunity in the world to help collaborate with us for free. We wanted to work with them. We were giving them the science. We were giving them hope. We were giving them our solutions and our data and for free. So they're already doing that with LaFont Medical. Another thing that we have heard is that Angela Rasmussen, we know how professional she is. She actually is managing the Saskatchewan University bioweapons lab that was created in this year, 2025, and they've went to a level 4. So she's actually manning on antibody research. And so as much as they all want to attack us about our ostriches and say that we had nothing, they lied about how much scientific data and proof we gave them. They lied about all of the everything, our research papers, scientific data. They lied that we didn't give that to them. And here they are developing it right now. And so it is in our belief too. I'm not saying it is for sure, but the world watched the numbers of our ostriches go down and down and down. So it is our belief too that we could still have some live living ostriches somewhere that they maybe sedated and they took off to a lab or have at a university. So we are really asking anybody as well, if anybody ever has a lead on that or any information that really comes down to the truth of the matter of why Canadian Food Inspection Agency was at our farm. I know John Catsimatidis has been wanting to offer a reward because he was deeply saddened and it affected him too of how this ended. And he wants to see justice. He wants a real answer of why was Canadian Food Inspection Agency at Universal Ostrich Farms and why were they willing to put up so much money and enforcement to protect animals to kill them.
Oh, Katie, there's been so much cover up here, and this is what disturbs a lot of people because we know they didn't cart away 314 ostriches. We know
On
that they
7th,
lied constantly about the numbers going down. People were counting the ostriches. And apparently the CFIA couldn't count because they kept saying, all we can give you is a range and you'll have to be satisfied with that. But they couldn't actually go, it was too hard for them. But it didn't stop observers at the farm from going up the hill, getting pictures and counting. And the numbers were going down every week, as I reported every day during this occupation. And what they're up to, we know there was some activities going on that were pretty bad. So, and it's not just that. Yeah, I believe they have taken the evidence. I believe that. I think this was all part of this operation. And I think that's why
blood
were disappearing.
Blood or whatever, what it was, they were taking it. And it is our belief that the Supreme Court did not give us a stay. The Supreme Court of Canada gave Canadian Food Inspection Agency a stay. As much as we all cheered, and we got some extra days, I guess, to be around them, but the Supreme Court of Canada gave the Canadian Food Inspection Agency a stay. And what that did was gave them enough time to get what they wanted for scientific proof or data or blood or samples, to get prepared to kill. And then they made their decision that it was a no. So it was, again, a theatrical display, in our opinion, of hope. And that breaks our hearts, but the world, it's hard not to see it that way. And during that time, I mean, we have so much video footage that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency was working between 2:30 and 4:30 in the morning at the back by their motorhomes. What is Canadian Food Inspection Agency doing at 2:30 to 4:30 in the morning when they were supposed to just maintain custody of our animals under the interim state order of Supreme Court of Canada? Maintain custody means food, water, veterinarian care, and keeping their environment the same. It is just manning the animals as, we would have. So there is a lot of things that a lot of witnesses seen and a lot of witnesses have film footage of that I do hope gets to come to light. And I do hope that this gets to change how we view the Canadian Food Inspection Agency and go forward, because a full internal investigation has to be done on this agency from our government and give Canadians back a sliver of hope and a little bit of light that we're going to hold them accountable for how November 6th and 7th happened.
I don't think I've ever heard you quite put it that way in terms of the CFI got the stay. The farm didn't get the stay. I think that is absolutely brilliant. And that is going to go up as a separate clip later today, because I think you have absolutely articulated what went on. And that takes a lot of courage to say it that way, because you're questioning a judiciary. And we don't do that in Canada, but we need to do a lot more of it. And I think that's exactly what happened, because it's like they were saying, okay, we've got 6 or 7 weeks. Let's make the most of it. And they worked round the clock.
They did.
And we heard it from observers were constantly feeding me videos and information. I wake up in the morning. I get up every day at 5 to prepare for the news. And I look at my email from the night before, and people were giving me videos. They were telling me what they saw the night before, that the CFIA were up to absolutely no good. Birds were disappearing. What the hell was going on? And we never got a single response from the CFIA about this. They refused to comment about any of their activities. They're pretending they deep buried them all. They violated laws, regulations, and rules in the process. Nobody's talking about charging them. They're still talking about charging you. Find a crime. Find a crime in the next year. We'll find out. But to me, I think you absolutely are spot on here by saying this was all about giving the CFIA the opportunity and the means to do what they wanted to do.
It did, unfortunately. And I'm not the only one who sees it that way. And that is sad. When we do feel like we have to question our Supreme Court and the way that this rolled out, it was a theatrical display of, again, fake hope. And how painful is that? How painful is that when you're actually cheering on the Supreme Court of Canada saying, wow, the world, everybody was roaring in happiness that maybe this time there's actually going to be some real change. Someone is going to stand up and say, this is wrong. I can't go along with this. And it was completely the opposite. So, but again, we have to just take everything that has just happened in the last 11 months, and we have to turn it into the most amazing strength that will have the opportunity to change Canada and the future for our children and our grandchildren. And we need to rise up Canada, rise up in strength, rise up with your voices, rise up in peace and non-violence, non-harassment, and be the change that our children need. Be the change that Canada so desperately deserves. And don't be afraid. Just come united. Together we're stronger. Another thing I always say, and that has a ripple effect, because when we're not alone, we have a lot more courage.
Yes, and before I forget, I always forget to do this. These are the stickers that we have been selling for the last couple of weeks, and they have been really, really doing well. All proceeds, not just profits, are going to you and the farm, and they are continuing to be on sale, and people are reacting. These are the 3 colors available in the hoodie, and
love them.
And if you I'll send this to you again later so you can repost this, because these hoodies are really popular, and when you guys are ready to sell them on your own, you can do it. In the meantime, once again, all proceeds are going to you and the farm that we're selling online here. And people just love these stickers because, and I had people, unfortunately, I don't have a warehouse in my backyard of this stuff, because Shopify, it goes directly from the distributor to the person buying it. So I'm not even a middleman in the process. So people said, can you bring, dozens of those stickers? And I said, unfortunately, I haven't got dozens in my backyard, and I can't do that, but keep ordering them. And this sort of segues into, I think, what is probably the last subject that we're dealing with today, and that's fundraising. Mm-hmm. Fundraising. A lot of people don't want to talk about fundraising because, it's hard to ask. And you've told me that offline, that you don't like to ask for money. I don't know anybody who does. No. And it's a difficult process, which is why I'm volunteering to do it for you. I will ask the question. I will make the case for you, so you don't have to do that. And
I appreciate it. That is the one thing a lot of people have been able to say is, you never ask for money. And we don't. We ask for prayer, because I believe with God, when you pray and you have God on your side, everything else falls into place. But the truth of the matter of fact is, it costs money to live. And my parents, my dad is a paraplegic, and my mom has just been stripped of her identity. And there's going to be a rebuilding aspect to our family. There's going to be a rebuilding aspect to the cleanup of everything that the Canadian Food Inspection Agency has left us with. And on a sad note, but there is, even on that land, what this whole 11 months has done to us is, there is one of the gentlemen on the mortgage on the ostrich land that wants out. So he's going to foreclose on his portion. It all came at once. It's been since November 6th. It's been a snowball. And again, God has a plan, and we just have to believe and have faith in the outcome. But asking for money is not who our family is, as much as there's misinformation and haters out there. We're a very humble family, and we would give anybody the shirt off our back before we would, or eat before we would eat. And so this is very hard. It's a hard time to know that we're in this position, that my mom just lost her identity, and so we have to figure out how we rebuild that.
You referred to the morons on the internet, and there's not very many, but there are people out there, and I think they've been paid bots by the government of Canada in many cases. I can't conclusively prove that yet, but I believe they've been paid by the CFIA to sow discord and say absolutely stupid things. There are people out there who believe you're multimillionaires, that you've made millions of dollars off of this, and this has all been a ruse. And I'm thinking, do you have a thought in your head? Are the synapses working in your brain? That's all I can say to nonsense like that.
It cost over $300 a day to feed those ostriches. Just to put it into perspective, and not a lot of people, I think, understand what it cost of a farm, but there was about $1 a day per ostrich. And so there was, so you have to think about how much money that is, and hay, and then and everything, just survival. So just to put it into perspective, farmers, it's not an easy job. It's not an easy job. And it's not a get quick rich thing. It's a long time dedicated because you love what you do.
Well, Katie, you have been a pillar of strength for so many people, your family, those ostriches. I think sometimes they knew it when I watched those happy ostriches. And I don't, I'm almost on the verge of tears myself, but you've been a pillar of strength for so long, for so many people. I think it's time for you. You have to lean on others. And there are a lot of people out there, including myself, who care about you and about that farm.
Thank you.
So lean on me and lean on others who want to help right now, because you have done all you could. And in terms of the fundraising needs, and I'm going to get on this right away, I want to explain to people that the Save Our Ostriches, I've been putting that out 3 or 4 times a day on my X. That's going to be changing soon to Justice for Ostriches as the primary fundraising site. So if you see a name change there, that's why, because obviously it's a transition. We have to move forward. And so that's going to change. I'm putting out a fundraising video that I will be hosting within the next day or two. And we're going to get that out far and wide. What do you need money for? People are saying, well, you need money because the Supreme Court ordered you to pick up the legal tab for the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. You have been ordered to pay the legal expenses. God knows what that tab comes to. It's going to be a lot more than a bar tab. It's going to be horrendous. You might be on the hook, and I'm not getting answers. I've asked the CFIA about this repeatedly. Are you going after this farm for the occupation costs, the costs of occupation, from the hay they brought in to the fencing, to the costs of RCMP, to the costs of the CFIA staying in the best hotels in town, wining and dining every night on the public dime? Do you expect the farm to pay for this? I tell you, if they do, there's going to be such a backlash that I tell you, heaven and earth will be shaken by the backlash. Are you on the hook for other things? And do they intend to compensate you in any way for the call? Because generally it's $3,000 an ostrich
for a chicken.
Not anything, because you were not compliant. You were not compliant. So therefore you might have because you weren't compliant, they don't feel that they have to follow their part of the deal. So you might not be getting anything back from this. Once again, I cannot get CFI to confirm that either. They won't say yes or no to that. And I think if that's the case, once again, this is going to huge backlash. So these are the things facing you right now. You just described the foreclosure incident. The farm does have debts, as every farm does.
Yes, and we've never denied it. Yeah, we never denied it. And those people that are coming, for the couple that put some liens on if there's money coming, we were absolutely, those people know that we've never denied them, that they knew it was all open booked. We know we owe you money. This has been a deal in the works. It was because we took their birds on, but we couldn't pay them for them right away because they couldn't keep caring for them. So we were buying them back essentially. And it works out to be, I think, about like in our full total debts, it's about like $240,000. I mean, that's pretty good for 35 years. And then the last 5 years being solely dedicated into this antibody research. Everybody has debt. We've never denied we've had debt. And they hope that, yes, we're going to make sure that these people get their money, because we are honest people. And but there's debt. There's the reality of life setting in, and that is the empty pens over there, the crime scene, the mess that the Canadian Food and Inspection Agency left in the aftermath after them, and picking up our pieces of our life. So we are still going. I mean, there's still going to be legal costs because we are not giving up. We have to be reminded again, we control our land, we control our animals, we control our rights. And if we stand together and united, we will change the future of our country. And so we're going to keep fighting for that. And there is going to be a legal cost to that. And who knows whatever costs come else. But we've put our armor back on and we're ready to fight.
Yes, you have.
Yeah.
You're fighting.
Yeah.
That's what the association's about. That's what you're
Yes.
doing. That's what these rallies are about. You're fighting back. That's what everybody told me. But the bill here is going to be substantial.
Yes.
And this is why I'm not kidding people and saying, well, you know, it's a couple of 100,000 maybe. No, we need to raise millions of dollars. We can do that. And I am resolved to help you do that. And I don't want you going on the air every day and saying, please help us, because it's humiliating for you. It's humiliating for anyone in your family.
Very embarrassing. And that money we want,
it's not for
whatever, whatever left over, like we said, the money that we don't use for the bills that are going to be paid at our farm, we want to go and be put back into that association. So then the next farm or the critter aid, we want to come to their aid. And we want to say, hey, do you have legal costs, or would you like to test these animals? And do you want to have help paying for that? We want to see that we come together. We want to band together to have a stronger future. So this is about that money helping, obviously, continue to us to have strength to go forward, but the mission to not for it to go ahead as well and strong and help other farmers. So money is a very uncomfortable topic, asking for support. That's why I always believe is prayer too. If you cannot donate, pray, because God has a way of making sure that everything, we're provided with everything we need.
Long term, probably too early to ask, but I thought I'd conclude with this one, Katie.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself when you get through this, and you will get through this? Where do you see yourself and your family? Will you continue farming? Will it be ostriches? Will it be something else? Where do you see yourself at this point, if you can even imagine that at this point?
Well, my mom was offered some ostriches, actually from an amazing lady, and I would have thought that it would have been too soon too, but you should have seen my mom's face light up when she thought of having maybe 10 or something, just more ostriches on the land so she could be close to them. So I think if we can get Canadian Food Inspection Agency to give us back our land, and I mean, there's no virus, just give us back our land. I could see my mom having some ostriches again for her heart and for her soul, just to repair and heal. And I do know that we want to go forward with the innovative technology of the antibody research. We believe in it so much, and the therapeutic advantage that can have over nasty vaccinations. And so I don't know exactly what that looks like in the time frame on that. And then the association and working with other farmers to protect farmers across Canada for the future. But I do see my mom having ostriches and our family having ostriches again.
Well, that would be absolutely wonderful. I think that would just be a logical and complete conclusion to all of this. So anyway, I know, God, it's been almost an hour. I can't believe it. Every time we get talking, it just, the time flies. And So anyway, I will be we'll talk offline later about a couple of things, but I just want to thank you so much. I know it's hard. It's still hard to talk about this, and it's just been so tragic. But
it is.
You used the phrase. I think you were talking to my old friend Chris Dacey the other day, and you talked about rising out of the ashes like a phoenix.
Yeah.
And I said, God, she must read my post now and again, because I said that about you the other day.
Oh, did you?
I put an X. I said, Katie is rising out of the ashes of defeat like a phoenix towards victory. Yeah. And I said, my God, we can be so simpatico at times. And I just find that I thought that was so neat. Anyway, that you said that.
It's always laugh with you too, David. Thanks.
You are rising like a phoenix. And God bless the work you've done and the work you're going to do. I'm so excited about A Voice for Farmers. And I'm excited that I'm part of it. I'm excited that you're putting the armor back on and you're fighting back. And so many Canadians, and I met so many people on Saturday who are on your side and love the work you're doing and can't wait to see you face this next challenge and win. So,
well, we're in it together. And so we're in it together, and we just have to remind each other that the government is nothing without the people. So remember that. And we have to stay positive and strong, and we got to stay confident in our country and confident that we can do this, create the changes that we deserve together. So it just elates me, makes my heart so full when I saw everybody at McCurdy in Kelowna. It was the most magical moment. Every hug was so pure and so full of love that I just walked away and I phoned my mom and I said, it just feels so good that everybody is waking up.
So many people hugged me on Saturday, thanking me for the coverage and saying, we're hugging you because we're hugging Katie. So I said,
well, thank you.
That's how they felt.
Thank you very much.
It's a beautiful, beautiful experience.
Thank you. Good.
Katie Pasitney, thank you so much for joining me again. This is probably the 20th time you've been on my program since we were on in April, but it's always a pleasure, and we're fighting this battle together now. So anyway, we'll be talking later. God bless you, Godspeed, and let's keep working.
Sounds good. Rise up, Canada. Remember, rise up.
Rise up.
Yeah. Lots of love.
Now, Katie.
Bye-bye.
It was Katie. Thank you so much for watching today. It was a real pleasure to do this broadcast. We'll be back again tomorrow with more and more information about how this country is on the skids. We're looking forward. I think during the week we've got Neil Oliver on Wednesday. We've got Jeff Rath of the Alberta Prosperity Project on potentially Thursday, and hoping to get John Carpay on tomorrow to talk about some very burning issues of freedom of speech in Canada. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back again tomorrow. Thank you for sharing this station with your friends and family. Thank you for hitting that like button, because I tell you, we are fighting back in a way I've never had to before, because I'm going to keep this station on the air. I'm going to keep fighting for freedom. I'm going to keep fighting for justice and truth. And I am damn determined to resist this Carney government in any way possible as it encroaches upon our individual freedom. And it will continue to do that, mark my words. I'll be back again tomorrow. Same time, same place. 10 a.m. This has been David Crayden, broadcasting live from our nation's capital in Ottawa. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow.